You're listening to the Homeboys podcast, recorded in our Indiana office and with combined 40 years of experience. Here's your hosts, Clint and Scott.
Hey, real estate investors. Welcome to the Homeboys podcast. We are the Homeboys, and we've got a very exciting episode for you today. First of all, please hit subscribe, like our content. We really enjoy providing this to you. Like I said, our show is pretty special today. I'm here with Scott Adams, my co-host, as always. How are you, Scott?
Great. Life is good.
And most importantly, we are here with local celebrity.
Oh, I don't know about that, but
conservative radio talk show host and now soon to be TV
that's right,
host, yeah. Mr. Todd Huff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You got a great setup here too, by the way.
Well, we it's kind of like in golf. Like, you know, even if you don't play good golf, if you look good, like with the right equipment, you know, the shoes, the bag, people at least think that you know something. So we thought that if we could start by really providing something that looks nice, we could fool our audience.
Well, you fooled me.
That,
so.
You know, we're a couple of idiots, you know, just up here doing this. But, you know, we're relatively new to podcasting, so please don't critique, you know, our skills too much. You are, you know, you're a very polished guy.
Well, I started, and this is, you know, perspective is everything, but I started in the bedroom closet. And I got to be careful how I say this because it was my wife's closet in our bedroom. I used to say my wife's bedroom closet, and it sounded like we didn't share a bedroom. But it was her closet in the bedroom, and, I mean, literally, the clothes were here in the closet. So this is, I mean, you're like 50,000 steps ahead of me with this. So
you were alone in there, just staring at the clothes.
I was.
Talking.
It was a huge adjustment, you know, and that's something that I try to tell people when they ask about that journey because it's something that you know in your head. Mm-hmm. I got to get used to talking without any kind of feedback. I don't have any nodding. I don't have any glazed over look. I don't have any disagreement. I just have clothes here. So that was an adjustment for me. It really was. So, but once you get it, you begin to like, you know, have that dialogue in your head and, you know, envision people that you want to, that you know that you're talking to really in the audience. So, but yeah, that was an adjustment for me big time.
So what were you doing before that? You were in horses, I know that much.
Yeah, you know what? I've had a crazy, I guess, journey. My plan, I went to Butler University. I was planning to go to law school. I spent a semester at American University in Washington, D.C., and it was me versus the class every day. I loved it. I was the only conservative Christian.
Indiana boy.
That's right.
Showing up in D.C.
In fact, I was asked by one of the students, one of the girls there when I got there, because they were all East Coast kids, and she came up to me and she said, "Are you from Alabama or Tennessee?" And I said, "Have you ever heard anybody from Alabama or Tennessee?" I mean, well, I have a drawl. You guys probably have a bit of one, but nothing like.
I don't hear a drawl when I talk.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have accents here.
I'm from Southern Indiana, so like I've got a thicker drawl, and whenever I go home to visit, like everyone jokes in here, like, "Oh, Clint went away for a weekend because he comes back talking like this," and you know, but I don't really foresee, you know, you having much of a drawl.
Yeah, I didn't either, but over there it must have been a big thing.
And you being the only conservative Christian in the group, you probably didn't meet your wife there. I take it.
No, she wasn't there. No, it was, and it was fun. But I realized when I got through the program, it's just. Law school wasn't for me, and there's plenty of way too many attorneys as it is, and you can insert your attorney joke here, but I just, I decided really back then that my role was to kind of be involved in grassroots conservative principles, which really laid the foundation for the show today. But I came back and I ran a standard-bred horse farm for about 3 years. We had some race horses that ran up at Hoosier Park, and I think we may have had a couple that ran over in, I'm drawing a blank at the other, Shelbyville. Mm-hmm.
Just a corn-fed country boy.
Yeah, 200-acre horse farm, and I mean, literally, my day revolved around when Rush Limbaugh came on. So I planned when I mowed the property or painted the fence so I could put the Walkman on back then. Right. We didn't have iPhones and not even iPods and that sort of stuff back then.
The Walkman's worth like a lot of money now, right?
It's probably,
you know, prehistoric.
That's right. It's an antique.
It is.
Yeah, I was telling my kids about how having a CD player in your car was like mind-boggling, and that not only did we have a CD player, but the CD player ran through the tape player, and that they couldn't wrap their minds around the concept.
I love those things. And then they broke, and you'd have to, you'd have the passenger holding it like
Yep.
at a certain angle so
Yep.
it would play. Like, don't move,
So
don't hit a
true,
bump.
right? Yeah, you had to hold it on your lap because a bump would make it skip. Yeah. We've come a little bit.
We have come a long way. We've come a long way. Well, we've kind of partnered, with you. We advertise on your show. We've gotten to know you, and we think a lot of you, and we kind of appreciate the relationship. You've got a lot of exciting things, coming up. Why don't you?
Yeah.
And we'll try to tie this back to real estate a little bit, here a little later.
Yeah, there's some interesting real estate that's going to come up with what Todd is up to.
There will be some real estate, right?
Yeah, so let's kind of start there. Maybe even go back a little bit. Tell us about your show.
Sure.
Tell us about what's coming up, because we've got a TV show's coming up for
right.
you. I say we because we're excited to be partnered
You guys
with
are a
you
big
on
part of
this.
this.
So, but just tell us a little bit about it.
So I want to go back too, because of how, I don't know if you guys remember how we first met, but I love it, by the way. But I started this podcast back in 2015 in the closet, my wife's bedroom, my wife's closet of the bedroom. And I basically spent that first 9 months or so practicing, because I didn't have, like I said, it was an adjustment. I'd never done it before. I'd never been trained in radio. And after about 9 months, we took that program to Freedom 95, and they gave us a time to come on at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is where we started. And so that's where we happily started, because it's hard to get on radio. And so
It's a tough thing to break through.
Yeah. There's 24 hours a day. Most programs are 3 hours, and you figure if you run 3-hour programs, you got 8 on, right? So It's tough to break in. And we were able to do that at 2 a.m. After a little while, we got moved to the morning drive, which is where we are today. But the program's a little bit different. So it's conservative, not bitter. That's our brand. And I think it's important. I mean, this is a business, but this is also, I'm kind of an ideological purist in a sense, because I do think that what we talk about is in this country's best interest. I think it's in your business's best interest. I think it's in the best interest of freedom and liberty and the progress of our country. But I'm not a screamer, man. I don't think that there's any value. We have to persuade people if we really want to see this country go the right direction. And that's not going to happen by pounding the desk, screaming at someone. I find that so off-putting, because a lot of people, they can be persuaded if you just talk with them, if we just spend some time talking. So that's kind of the premise of the program.
I love the whole conservative, not bitter. Scott and I share a lot of the same political views, which is pretty, in the middle. And we don't, myself, I don't participate in politics as much. I've told you this, but part of the reason why I don't is because I get so sick of people getting mad at one another. Like, this last election, I saw people getting on Facebook and defriending lifelong friends. Like, I'm from a small community, and seeing people go back and forth, and that's not how you're supposed to live, in my opinion. So, like, the whole conservative, not bitter, Scott, I think you would probably agree. I think
it's very
that's
attractive.
What really, appealed to us.
It's very attractive. Clint and I talk about often, and we've had lots of conversations about how nuance is dead. People want to make their point. They don't want to listen. They want to talk, not listen. And the idea that any side of any political debate can be wrapped up from 2 points of view is incorrect, and it's wrong, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be nuanced conversations on subjects, and everything is gray. I don't believe in pure black and white, and the gray area it's not as exciting, so you don't hear it as much. But again, that's one of the many things that really attracted us to your program when we first met.
Yeah.
And it was there's a genuineness to what you believe in, and it's inclusive. It's not exclusive.
Well, I don't know. I don't understand. It's just like any other aspect of our lives. Why, if someone disagrees with me, why is that the end of everything that exists? I don't understand. I'm not compromising my principles or beliefs. I just think if I'm going to persuade somebody, it just defies common sense to think the only way to survive is to surround myself with people who agree with me, and I have the litmus test, and you have to agree with all those points, or I'm going to shut you out of my life. That just is...
It's not how you're supposed to live.
Stupid to me. It really is. And again, some people misunderstand and think that there's nothing to get fired up about. Of course there are things to get fired up about, but it means I don't give up on the concept of America just because an election didn't go my way, or because someone's in the White House or Congress that I think is really bad for America. And that happens. And that happens to both sides. But if you want to change that, you have to make appealing arguments to the other side. And there's not a lot of that today, in my opinion.
Right. And these sides evolve too. You and I had a long conversation the last time we got together here at the office a couple weeks ago about what is a conservative and where do you fall within that zone and old school Republicans versus what the latest stuff is, and it's always evolving and changing. And so to hang your flag on one simple thing instead of the ideas and the things you believe in, it's weak. It's weak-minded. And instead of having deep thoughts about complex subjects and open-mindedness and conversation and respect for the other side, the other opinion, even though they're wrong.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But that's important. And you've hit on a lot of important things there. Conversation, dialogue, respect. I mean, these things, they're absent completely in some circles. And they're definitely not popular things to, live out in our day-to-day lives when it comes to politics. And it's just so foreign to me because most of the people I know, my dad's a Union Democrat. I don't know if I told you that. My dad is a Union Democrat.
I did not know that.
And there's no need. Why would I want to create, difficulty in that relationship when the truth is we still agree on a pretty hefty percentage of things.
Right.
I don't understand. It doesn't mean I have to agree with how he casts his ballot, but it's my dad. I just don't understand. We've almost lost that human, that relational part of this. And
that's part of my struggle with politics. And, I said that we weren't going to talk about politics. Here I am talking about politics. But, part of my struggle with politics is like, say like this Senate runoff in Georgia, it just seems to me like when it comes down to where it's close to like a strict divide, like within the Senate, that it really shouldn't matter. I mean, are we really to that point where it's literally where half the people are just going to vote this way and half the people are going to vote that way, and then there's literally out of 100 people, there's no in between. It just seems so crazy divided to me right now. Like, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, that, the Conservative Party, very scared that, they're never going to be able to get anything through the Senate because, it's split 50-50. It just doesn't seem to me like that's how politics should work. Well, or am I crazy in my thinking?
No, I think that's what the average American is I think, trying to wrap their heads around is that, yes, we have two diametrically opposed worldviews and perspectives of government, but we also have business to take care of as a country, and there has to be a way. Most people are not ideologically extreme. They're not. Those folks are the loudest. Right. Those are the folks that get the most retweets a lot of times, but there's oftentimes not a lot of substance there. I say on the show that if something happens, let's say, some Republican is found to have done something inappropriate, or a Democrat, you've got 0.2 seconds to decide what you think about that issue and, where your stance is. And it just isn't right. Or the race of the person or the gender or the political party or whether they are a democratic socialist, that's just stupid to me. Like I say on the show, I do believe constitutional conservatism is the most ideologically correct perspective in this country. But I also understand that there are good people who disagree with that, and there are bad people who agree with me, right? There's bad people.
It's very well said.
I'll agree. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your race, your gender, your political party, your religion. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus, and there are people that are Christians that have done some really bad things. It doesn't
myself included.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Christian and I make mistakes all the time that don't go by what the Bible says and what I should be doing. We just
Absolutely.
talked about it before we came on. I got into a loud discussion sticking up for my mom at a Chili's.
Yeah.
And I didn't fulfill my Christian duty.
We all do that.
But it happens.
Yeah.
So,
There's one person at this table who's not allowed back in Chili's restaurant, and it's not me.
or Todd.
Not me either.
Yeah, so, okay, well, it's been blacklisted by Chili's. I guess it could be worse.
All right, so get back to 2015. You're in your closet, in your wife's closet, in your shared bedroom.
We share the bedroom, yes, not the closet.
Right.
And so we take the show to Freedom 95. It goes on at 2 a.m. It moves to Morning Drive. I was blessed enough. Fox News came to our house and did an interview. They recorded this. I mean, they were there for all morning. It was, again, I had nothing to do with that. It was just kind of divine intervention there. But they showed up. They did some stuff, and we've just grown. And that was back a couple of years ago. Now we are. Now we've got a TV show now, which is the real estate portion of this. My wife and I. We do believe the Christian in me, and I don't want to make this too much about that, but just for the story to be told, we believe that God has called us to take this message and what we're doing outside of the confines of the state. And so we've sold our house. We're going to buy a motorhome. We homeschool. We got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 7-year-old, and we're going to travel the country, speak at churches, take this...
taking it to the streets.
Taking it to the streets, baby. So we're gonna try to get on other radio stations with the program, other TV stations, and then we have a syndicated column we're hoping to get on newspapers and news outlets as well. So
very exciting.
Oh, it's crazy.
I think it sounds awesome.
So there's your real estate angle, right? I mean,
love it. Well, even if it all goes bad, you sold at a really good time.
That's very true.
You sold at a great time.
Yeah, we bought in 2012.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it literally more than doubled. I think it's 115%.
And we just had a show on whether or not you sell your personal house, and we kind of left it where, you sell your personal house, but then where do you go?
Mm-hmm.
You have to overpay for a house. But in your case, you sold your house and you're taking it to the streets, so it works out. So, to add on to one of our last podcasts, you could sell your house and take it to the streets.
Option, right?
Buy an RV, put your face on the side of the RV, and go travel the country.
Will you have your face on the side of the RV?
The wife
Todd Huff
says
Show.
no. The truth is, to go back to what we were saying earlier, you got to think about, what people think in other places about it saying conservative, not bitter. That makes you.
But it could just say the Todd Huff Show, and it starts the conversation.
It could. My wife is probably going to oppose that. We've already pushed her way out of her comfort zone here. So, but yeah, I'd love to do it. I would love to have
Mama Bear needs to feel safe.
That's
with
right.
her cubs.
That's
and
exactly
that is
right.
their home. So I
get it, and thinking about it, I just think it would be cool to see that, on your Facebook or something, see a wrapped, RV.
Out.
But the reality is, I guess that just leads us into something else. The world's crazy right now, and there probably is a safety element, to that where there's radicals on both sides, but if someone sees conservative, that may not be, and you don't want to subject your kids to that.
You don't want to do that,
right.
No, and that's the reality of those conversations. So we're calling it the Truth Tour, and I don't mean to say that we got everything figured out, but I do think that America was built upon some truths that we need to get back to, and that's really what this mission's about, is to go and to talk about that. My son did the logo. He drew it. He's a pretty artistic little fella. So we've got the Truth Tour. And we're hitting the streets here beginning, I think, in September is what it looks like. So
it's so
exciting,
great. The minute you told me about this, as you know, I was probably as excited as you as if I was going to be traveling. I think it's an amazing thing to take your kids, to expose them to just a neat world out there. We traveled a lot, and I know Clint did as a kid too. We did road trips with our families. We did an RV summer. My mom was a teacher. My grandpa had an RV sitting at home, so we borrowed it.
The whole summer?
The whole summer. Okay. So we went out to Colorado and all around. We basically did the north. It would have been, I think, up to 80. We did 80 west, and then I can't think we came back on 10 through Albuquerque.
Okay.
10 back. Okay. So We stayed at a dude ranch for 2 weeks, this place for 2 weeks. And it was really neat to see the country.
You strike me as a dude ranch kind of guy.
Yeah. I got thrown off a horse twice at that dude ranch. Yeah. I'll try anything once.
Yeah.
But I did my dude ranch. It's out of the way.
You needed Todd on the trip with you to show you the ropes, show you how it's done.
Horses are not my thing. Anything with its own mind. All right, so you're going to go across the country.
We are.
You're going to be speaking about the things that you're passionate about.
That's right.
And you're going to be teaching the kids along the way. You already homeschool, right?
We do homeschool, yep.
All right. Well, I think it is one of the coolest things. I believe in this country, and we're going to be calling you a lot, not just because we want to hear about your life, but also we want to hear about real estate across the country. Okay. And you're going to be our man on the ground in all these places to see how attitudes are.
Sure.
One other exciting thing, aren't you giving the message at a church here pretty soon?
Yeah, we actually this Sunday at church. At our church in Grace in Canby, where I'm speaking there. So,
which is just for the people that don't know, it's just west of, or it's actually south of Indianapolis.
Yeah, on 67.
On 67,
Kentucky Avenue. But it's funny. The pastor asked me. You know how this works as a Christian, that he asked me if I would tell my story about my walk with Jesus, and I said, sure, I'll do that. He asked me like the end of April. Literally like the next couple of weeks is when this whole thing began to unfold. So just, I guess, caution to people that are, respond to asking, someone saying, hey, you want to tell your story about Jesus? You better be prepared for the story to get pretty crazy here. So we got a lot to share.
So it's going to be a 4-hour message.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, but it's, we're blessed, and it's, you learn so much. I tell people that, I had an intellectual understanding of faith before this. You can understand faith, but then to actually take these steps that we had to take, they weren't all easy, man. It was, there's been a lot of tears. All 5 of us have cried a little bit, but we're all excited too. There's so much potential, and we know. I firmly mean this and believe this, that we know this is what we're supposed to do. We don't have any doubts. There's the connection to the home, right? And we're leaving family, but we'll be back. We'll be here every month still to do the television show, which we touched on. But it's exciting. Everybody's excited, and we're just ready to see what happens next, see where this ends up, and see, you just don't know the paths you're going to cross with people, the places you're going to get to see, the opportunities you're going to get. And so that's what we're buckling up for right now.
Well, it'll be a lifetime deal for you that you'll remember. What I mean by lifetime is you'll think about it for the rest of your lives. Yeah. And it's going to be a really cool thing. And I know I speak for Scott as well. We're going to be praying for you on that trip, and very exciting. So tell us a little bit about the TV show. It's something that we met about and talked about here recently.
We did, yeah.
Scott and I are excited.
You guys are a part of that. And so we started with the radio show. The TV station approached me, I don't know, back this spring, probably right around the end of April, beginning of May. And they said, would you be interested? We talked about doing a TV show, and it's something I had in the back of my mind, but I have a face for radio, so that makes it challenging. But it's something that it just made sense. We have a lot of folks like you guys who've been loyal supporters of what we're doing, and we made some phone calls to say, hey, if we did a TV show, is this something that you guys would be interested in? And you guys were interested, so we're launching on August 2nd is the first day the TV show is on. It'll be on TV 40 here locally, and then we'll have it other places. People can see it digitally as well. But
so what's the format?
The format's similar to the radio show, but it's more structured, I guess. So there'll be a monologue, and then I'll have a guest, and then maybe 2 segments of guests depending upon. And then, but we talk about. It's not so much about the political issue of the day. I get kind of, it's like chasing rabbits, right? It's, this happened, let's talk about this. This happened, let's talk about that. And to me, I try to use those things as a way to get back to the core issue, to the important point, not just she said this, he said that, this is, like that to me isn't exciting.
Right.
What's exciting is, why do these things matter? Why is what happened something, that we should be concerned with? How do we prevent that? How do we protect liberty and freedom instead of, going down this path of government knows all or whatever? So the TV show allows us really to kind of talk more about some of these principles. So I don't like we don't do themes on the radio show, but as I've put together the TV show, it's almost like one episode will be about a certain particular issue. Like, one thing that's important to me is, as a conservative, I kind of push back when people say, well, you just don't care about people, right? You want to keep your money, you want to, lower taxes, and people who don't have as much won't get as much social services. I say, well, the thing is, I do have a solution. It's called the private charitable part of America, right? And so Shepherd Community, one of our other partners on the east side of Indy, they're involved with the program. And so just to be able to, I just think these ideas matter, right? I mean, it's so much more efficient to have a private charity run it than a government agency, and they're better at doing it. At some point you say, why are we even doing these things? But anyway, so it lets us talk more about the issues, I guess.
We just bought a boutique, my wife and I. Really, my wife did. My wife bought the boutique, and it's a friend of ours who set it up, and she did a really good job. And it's called Close with a Cause. And so
love it.
She set it up, and then COVID happened. She got a little nervous, and we thought it was amazing. We were supporters of her and cheering her on, basically. And I think COVID made her a little nervous with, because there's a store, an actual store. And so we offered to buy, 49%, be the quieter partner. And she took us up. And so each month it's a new charity that all the profit goes to.
Every month she changes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they partner with it. And I agree with the private sector part of the charity stuff. When you go to work with a company, I think we have our stuff on our website, who we partner with. We are big believers that private industry should take part in those. If you work with a company that doesn't, but you want to work with them, tell them that. I think it's becoming more popular to, virtue signal. Oh, we're amazing. We do all these charities. But the good part of that, which there's some real downsides with the way that is. But the good part is, it gets people focused on it, and it's needed. Like you said, we believe that in the structure of the United States as it currently stands, it's an important way to solve some of the world's problems.
Absolutely is, and people are charitable. I mean, that's the thing. People are very charitable, and we just have to, as a conservative, I think if we want to make sure that we don't want to see government encroach upon these areas, we're going to have to make sure that we provide for the needs. And so I applaud you for what you're doing there, because that is exactly what needs to happen, so far as I'm concerned. But I got to tell you too, I don't want to forget this. I love this story. You guys probably don't even realize this, but when we first got connected, we were connected through a girl named Shauna. Do you remember Shauna?
Yeah, that's right.
So Shauna was, she doesn't work with us now, but we were friends. Shauna's a liberal Democrat.
Right.
And it's funny to me because you think, how can a liberal Democrat sell for a guy who literally, has bad things, not personal attacks, but just about their thoughts, their ideas and ideology. And it was interesting to me because she actually, she has some difficulties she has to deal with. So that was really what prevented her and I from, kind of developing a more long-term solution together. But she was good at what she did when she was able to do it. And she told me one time, she said, Todd, I could never, true story, Todd, I could never support a conservative Republican, but I could support you. And I said, Shauna, that's not true. You just know me. And that's, I guess, what I was saying off the top is that there's a lot more common ground. She was a liberal Democrat who was in favor of the Second Amendment. Right? These people exist. I mean, we sometimes we put people into a box, but they exist. And
I'm a gun-toting gun collector who has questions about the Second Amendment, who has some doubts.
Sure. So and there's people from all
there's
different
nuance within all of this.
That's right. and you don't get there without the conversation. But I just thought that was interesting because to me, we connected through someone who on paper never even should have been working for us because she didn't.
We're working with another person who on paper shouldn't connect with you either. She is a liberal Democrat.
The hippie lib?
Yep, hippie lib as you call her.
The hippie lib is great.
She is amazing.
Yes,
she's with
phenomenal.
A lot of stuff.
Yes.
So
I don't even know who.
Yeah, Joe and I met with her, and she's going to help us with some of the podcast advertising.
Oh, okay,
some other stuff.
Yeah.
She's really interesting.
She's very sharp. She's a buddy of mine. I met her. She was a server at a restaurant years ago, and she introduced herself to me as the hippie lib when she found out I was a conservative, and that's of course the wrong thing to do because that's her name now.
Right,
hippie lib.
Well, within Scott and I's business, we're kind of in the middle as far as our clients as well. We have lots of people West Coast, Bay Area, which is predominantly, a blue state. We have a big following in Utah,
right?
That is the complete opposite. It's kind of all over the place. But
some of our values in our business, I really feel like help us. We're both pretty centrist, but at the end of the day, we do have some conservative values that I think help our business, and along with being Christians, I think it really helps because we really are focused on wanting to help people, succeed and build independence and. Not be reliant on anyone except themselves, and those are
transparency.
Some of those core, conservative values.
Absolutely.
That even.
Well, that's what
folks,
this podcast is about. I mean, really, you guys are trying to help people to.
Yeah,
we're trying to help people, and regrettably, in our industry, there's also a lot of people out there putting stuff out on social media that have no business. Instructing other people on what to do. So we kind of call out some of the posers, if you will.
That's what started this, was we would call each other at night after seeing something on TikTok or, some idiot, idea that's just terrible. And it would get 1 million likes, and we were like, we have to stop this. We have to save the world from these people,
Well, I admire that. And
there's a scene in one of the newer Star Wars movies where Rey is describing what she thinks the Force is, and she says that, it's picking up objects and moving them across, and it's, explains it, and Luke looks at her and says, literally everything you just said is not true. Right. And that's kind of the same way we were looking at some of these TikToks and some of these Facebook posts from these so-called real estate experts, like literally 100% of what they said
is the opposite
is complete bogus.
Right. You're getting people, and people are listening, and they're going to get hurt.
Badly, maybe with these types of purchases, and
they are.
We've talked about it. I mean, they're getting
we see it
hurt really bad. But trying to tie this back to real estate, a little bit. We live in a crazy world. Like, the pandemic, is we felt like it was going away. It's kind of coming back, and we're starting to get questions from some of our clients, on it. Do you have any feel where you think this is going? Los Angeles now is, they're back to wearing masks and.
I mean, it is definitely, and if you pay attention, as I know you guys do, you could see this this coming back. This never really completely went away. It did. I think where you live in the country, like where I'm from, I mean, we pretty much lived as much back to normal as you could. And I think even in most of Indiana, but you get to places like you're talking about San Francisco or Los Angeles or. New York City or places like that. And there are different considerations. I mean, there's bigger, higher number of people in closer proximity. So, but, with the variants and the insistence, we got one state that's now doing the door-to-door vaccine. I think it's North Carolina that's already started that. So
I did not know that they're going door-to-door.
They are.
Are they government employees or private? I don't want to know.
Biden has announced that, and I call them the door-to-door vaccine corps, but they're going to go door-to-door to promote vaccines in the country. I don't know in the state of North Carolina if it's federal grants, if it's federal, I don't know exactly, but they're going to go.
The reason this comes out is crazy. The reason they're doing it is crazy. There's just crazy all around so many things right now, and then you see the effects it's having on the economy.
Oh yeah.
And it can be a scary time for folks. we were just talking about our lunches lately, and how hard it is to get good service, and we weren't saying it in a way complaining about the wait staff. It's that it's hard to find staff to staff these places up. So we're all very understanding about it, but it's a strange time with the economy.
It's a very strange time.
I was reading about, it was the night before last, about who wins during inflation. And it's exactly what you would probably expect, which is it's the wealth. It wins. So people who own properties win. It's the people who can't afford, milk and eggs and the staples that are really hurt. So it's not, we are all about success, but not at the cost of anyone, much less our country overall. And so, I hate seeing this flare back up,
And it is. And, it's who knows where it ends up, to your question, but it's definitely back on the radar. And there's going to be talks of restrictions and mask mandates being re-implemented and forced vaccinations, and we're already seeing these things. So,
because we got really scared whenever this broke out. Like when it broke out, I was actually in Panama City Beach whenever it really started exploding, and me and Scott were on the phone. Like I was on the phone with Scott the entire time I was down there.
So I'm a prepper,
and
I remember you telling me that.
And I was just, are people going to stop paying their rent?
Right.
What's going to happen? Our customers are going to start calling and asking about, the tenants that are in their property. We saw record levels of collection, rent collection during the early stages of the pandemic. And then it kind of leveled off, and then it kind of started going the other way. And then all the government free money started coming out. And, I kind of hate to say this because a lot of the free money was not really, my way of thinking.
Sure.
I like people that work.
Sure.
I like hard work, and hard work, I think, brings success. But we did see some people get caught back up, and now I kind of feel like it's went down just a little bit, not a lot, not an alarming rate for any of our customers that are listening. But, that now is there going to be more free money that comes, and the thing that I have a hard time with the free money is, there are jobs literally everywhere. Everyone is hiring. You can't drive down the street and not see 10 now hiring signs within a mile radius here in Fishers.
With bonuses now.
With bonuses, correct.
We're hiring. We offer 401k, health insurance. We always are in need of different maintenance staff, especially technicians who are specialists in, say, plumbing, HVAC. We're always hiring. Always. We get them a good van or a Chevy Colorado truck and 401k, health insurance, and it's difficult even for us.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But, where does this go? Or are we all just kind of throwing darts up in the air and trying to see where it sticks? Is it?
I think there's a lot of that is where we are. I think that there is uncertainty, and I'm a guy. I'm a freedom guy, but there is a role for government. No government's anarchy. I'm not an anarchist. I'm for a limited government. The government that governs least governs best is what the founders, was it Jefferson, I think, that said that. And so, but there's a role of government. And the government doesn't have an interest in public health, but the question is, what can they do, right? The things that we've seen happen, and what's happened to businesses because of shutdowns, what's happened to personal wealth because of shutdowns, what's happened to individual choice. And and then you factor in the maze of trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. I gave up following Dr. Fauci a long time ago because he would quite literally say the opposite thing a couple weeks after saying, what he said earlier. And I think that's how a lot of Americans feel. No one really knows. We're dealing with a microscopic virus that no matter what you try to do, you can't prevent that from spreading as much as we like to think that we can. And so there's all this uncertainty.
I give everyone the benefit of the doubt more than normal during this because I really feel like, my mom always said people are doing the best they can.
Yeah.
And I really believe that generally speaking, that's true. People are all trying to do the best that they can based on the information they have.
And we got blindsided in a lot of ways by this. And
it's a new thing.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of grace. I feel like, it's good to give grace during this period. There's a lot of stupid things going on out there. There's stupid stuff being said on both sides. But at the end of the day, this is a unique time for folks, and a lot of them are just doing the best they can with the information.
That's right.
Have.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I think from an economic and real estate perspective, I think that we're just now starting to see the effects from what even happened of us going into this pandemic.
I agree.
I think that we didn't really see the effects over the last year, and I think that it's just getting ready to start. And my point is, we talked about it on several, podcasts. I believe that commercial real estate is going to be in the absolute toilet for a very, very long time. I told you the story about me trying to go to Qdoba, to 3 different Qdobas. They're all closed due to staffing issues. They can't make money. So what's going to happen is there's going to be droves of businesses go out of strip malls and multiplex type environments, and they're going to be vacant. We saw one of the largest mall operators file bankruptcy 3-4 weeks ago.
Washington Prime.
Yeah, Washington Prime. You see these large 20,000 square foot plus office buildings, like I mentioned on a podcast, like the Marsh building that's off of I-69. Been vacant forever. Now all these people are staying at home and not going back to the office. I think you're going to see a ripple through commercial real estate that is just going to be massive, and I think it's just starting.
We heard an interesting counter argument to that. Clint and I, we had lunch with one of the best commercial experts in Indianapolis. His counter argument was that now offices are going to need about 300 square feet per person versus they used to need about 100 square feet per.
Because of distancing?
Distancing and being scared. So he's like, that'll absorb some of it, but how much?
Yeah.
That can't absorb all of it.
It's interesting. I have a friend who, he, during this COVID thing, you had to let everyone work from home.
Yeah.
Or even not work. And he has a pretty big operation, and he said once the dust kind of settled and there was some degree of normalcy, he said, never again. He said, never again are we working from home, because our productivity was in the tank, and there is something, that's my perspective, is what did we realize that we lost, right? From that office environment, from the camaraderie, from just being together, right? The total is greater than the sum of its parts. And I think you wonder if people see that now, but you've also got the push for everything's, e-learning, and, we do virtual meetings and all this, but there's something about sitting down like this. We could have done this over the phone, but this is...
Clint and I talk about the damage that's done to these younger generations that were already being separated by technology.
Yeah.
And it's always easy for, the older generation, as we all get older, to talk about how great it was when we were all going together, and we would drive to each other's houses to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And there was a togetherness, but it's true. There's some damage being done. There was already damage on its way because technology was able to keep this younger generation separate. There's an awkwardness, and there's anxiety involved now in social interactions, which is... That's natural. Studies show it's perfectly natural if you don't have a lot of social interactions to be nervous during them. It's just evolution. It's just the way the body works. And it's not healthy, and that scares me for that generation. And yes, productivity goes down in any business when you're not in person.
Yeah.
And people thrive on being together. This is, this is part of the good parts of life, is when we're all together.
Exactly.
I look forward to coming to work. I know I'm lucky to have that, because we've got great people, and I'm passionate about what we do.
That's right.
I mean, I love real estate, which is,
makes all
I know
the difference
maybe
in the world,
silly to some people, but I love investment real estate. So it's just, there's so much you lose, and it scares me how easily people want to go back to that.
Well, and we talked about restaurants earlier, but you go out to restaurants now and you look around and you'll see a family of 4, and they're all on their phone.
They're all on their devices.
Or whatever. Yeah, their phone or iPad or whatever. And you think, and we've all done this, right? It's almost as though we're saying, wherever I am right now, I want to be somewhere else.
Right.
And that's just not a healthy...
I'll one up you. The Disney story is crazy. So we were at Epcot Center around the country, the World Showcase at Epcot Center, and we see a stroller coming at us, and there's 2 kids in there, 5, 6, 7, age range in this double stroller, and there's some Disney characters that are going by at the same time, and those kids have tablets in their strollers, just staring at their strollers while we're at Disney. Probably watching a Disney movie while they're at Disney. It's just like, I don't know, like you said, some of that innocence is lost, the childhood innocence. It's
and the relations, the interrelation.
I like coming to work too.
I did, yeah.
And during the pandemic, man, I was ready to get back to work.
Yeah.
Ready to get back to work. But I also had 1 and 2 and 4-year-old girls through the pandemic that were ready to rip each other's arms off.
Right,
so it's very difficult. But, I know that we're getting to the end of our time. Real quick, because I know we could sit here and talk to you forever.
I could too.
And we really, really enjoyed having you on and being part of your program. Tell us again, like where we see you, like where people can listen to you.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I love this. Like I think I told Scott on my show, I have to prepare, even though we don't have notes, but I have to drive the conversation. So this is so refreshing to me to be able to
just chilling.
Yeah. And then to hear what people ask that gives me that feedback that you don't always get sitting behind the microphone. But
do you like the whiskey?
But it's water.
Yeah, it is water. It's gone. You didn't give me enough, Scott. But we're on 95.9, which is Freedom 95 in Indianapolis, 5 to 7s a.m. Monday through Friday. On the weekends, kind of fluctuates the time there, and then overnights as well. We have a podcast. The show's a podcast. You can get it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio. The Todd Huff Show, and then the TV show starts August 2nd on WHMB TV 40, and looking forward to getting started.
That's going to be so awesome. I can't wait. Yeah. I'm so excited for it.
It's exciting. You guys have been great, and that's what I want to say to you guys too. I'm grateful. You guys, I say it on the show. In fact, I said it today. I even talked about being on this today because as I was doing the radio show, I'm like,
fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I love this, and I hope you know that I do. But part of my job that I love perhaps the most is I get to meet and interact with some of the best people. You hear so many bad things said about business, right, in general in America. And I tell people, those aren't the people I deal with. Those aren't my advertisers.
Right.
I'm sure this exists somewhere. I'm sure there's a crappy CEO. Maybe there's a lot of them. But I just don't encounter them. And you guys are kind of a perfect example of that. I mean, you run your business with integrity. I love the stories. I mean, I could talk to you guys all day. But you're doing so much good. And Clint, I was thinking about you this morning, what you've done back in your hometown with some of the investment and improvements. And I know you probably don't even talk about that stuff. But there's so much good that happens from entrepreneurs like you guys. And I am the beneficiary of that. I mean, you guys have found what we're doing to be exciting, and you want to be a part of it. And it's only by your kindness and wanting to support that. So
we're relational, and we believed in you when we met you. You were early on, but you were already successful, and that's how we operate. It's a relational business. We're lucky enough we're small enough still to be able to, make decisions based on the people that we want to work with, our clientele that we work with. We don't work with folks that we don't like. That's the other thing. We're very lucky because we have so much demand. So we love our clients. So we get to love our clients, which is awesome.
Makes all the difference in the world. Yeah.
And then we get to work with whoever we want because we own the business. So we choose to work with people we like. And so it's we're very blessed with this business, and we are very honored to work with you. And it's been neat to watch your growth, and it's really cool that we're going to be a part of these big things you're doing now.
And you're a big part of it, and we're grateful. And I'd love to. Whatever I can do to help you with whatever. I mean, this is, we're going to travel the country and we're going to see what's going on. And
do you have like a bunk beds for us that we can we roll with
We'll meet you in Albuquerque and get the bunk beds. Well, that's our show today. He's Todd Huff of the Todd Huff Show, conservative, not bitter. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. This is a good man here. His show is very interesting. Tune in, Freedom 95, 5 to 7 a.m., Monday through Friday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and check out the new TV show. Thanks again for being on with us today. We're the Homeboys. Again, hit subscribe down there. Keep following us. We love pushing this stuff out to you. Till next time, happy investing.